Thinking of Tenerife and when to go? Short answer, imagine hitting the beach in the winter. If you don't know much about Tenerife, the only thing you should know is that it has good weather all year round, objectively. If you want to visit in July, fine. February, also fine. Pick any month in the year, that is perfectly alright. If you look at the temperatures, there isn't a month in the year which I deem as undesirable for visiting.
Then, why is this video so long?
Well, as I say in many of my videos, there's many preferences, nuances, and opinions regarding everything. We're gonna cover what you get and don't get in each season, and this will be very subjective. As I said, objectively, you can visit all year round. Subjectively, continue watching. Tenerife has different microclimates. That means that the weather is different depending on where you are on the island. Any time of the year, there are microclimates which have good weather, which means lots of sunshine and little to no rain. And I'm saying that you can visit all year round, thinking mostly of outdoor activities because these are the main attractions in Tenerife. Going to the beach, surfing, water sports, hiking as well. There's a lot of hikes, so I'm referring mainly to this kind of activities. That being said, let's begin the top. I'm not gonna keep the best too long from you. I'm gonna start with number one, unintuitively, I guess. I'm gonna start the top with the best season to come to Tenerife, which is winter, which I also call the escape. So, did you expect this? And why winter? I'm speaking mostly for people from the northern hemisphere here, where winter is cold and dark and there's not that many possibilities to do activities outside except for skiing or skating if you have access to them. So everyone who comes from mainland Europe to Tenerife agrees that the best time to come is winter because you get something completely different than you have at home. In this case, going to an island and going to the beach is something completely different than the cold, dark, slush times that you have at home. So I think it's very special that you can interrupt your winter or kind of like have a mini escape for winter just because it's like something that is very, very different and contrasting to what you have at home and on a daily basis. So in Tenerife, you can do in the winter almost everything that you can do in the summer. You can definitely go to the beach. Okay, so I say that you can go to the beach every season and maybe you're asking, but
is it the classical going to the beach, like the one that we imagine in our hands with a towel and sandy beach and sunshine and SPF and like proper beach going?
Or is it beach going as in UK or Belgium where you go to the beach and you're actually in winter attire and you don't sit, you just walk? And let me be clear, when I'm saying that you can go to the beach, I mean it in the classical way. I mean, you can go and sit on the sand or on the rocks. You can be in the sun, put SPF, look at the ocean, sit, lay, read a book. It is very much classical beach going. We go to the beach in December or January or between Christmas and New Year's. You can definitely swim in the ocean, but don't expect that the ocean is as warm as the Mediterranean Sea in the summer, for example. So it's still colder, but it's warm enough that you can swim without a wetsuit for around half an hour. So I think I bragged enough about the weather. And it's very important to mention as well that if you visit in the winter, you should choose the south coast. That is where the microclimate has lots of sun and little rain. If you choose the north of the island in the winter, it is way colder and way more rain. So it's a bit similar to, I would say, like a Belgian winter. So it's a bit warmer than a Belgian winter, but it's very similar. So definitely choose the south coast if you want sunshine and like activities. So just to clarify, Tenerife gets snow as well on Teide, which is the highest point in Spain actually, but you cannot go there. When it snows, the roads are blocked because the cars here don't have winter tires, and you definitely cannot ski there. It's a natural park and it's full of rocks as well. Also, you can do a lot of hikes, both in the south and in the north during the winter. The weather is perfect. And I think it's very special that you have an island which is kind of isolated, and then you can go for a hike and then drive for an hour or even less than an hour and you're at the beach. It's really, really nice. Interrupting this program for the sponsor break, and the sponsor is me, as usual. I sponsored this video, and I want to tell you that I made a guide which is about finding the best location for your home. It's a bit related to one of the videos that I made already, but it's way more detailed than the video. So if you want to get it, look for the details in the comment section. If you don't want the guide, you can leave a comment, even if it's just an emoji. You can subscribe to the channel, you can subscribe to my newsletter. That being said, let's move on with the video. Number 2 in my top is autumn, aka backup charging season. This is the case if you feel like you didn't have enough of summer and you're not really prepared for winter, you don't want to go there yet, you feel like you need a bit more warm weather before facing the true cold. So imagine that everyone is pulling out sweaters and like winter clothes, and here is just like business as usual on the beach. So while in the northern hemisphere autumn gets very cold and dark, especially in November, in Tenerife is just business as usual. September is actually a very warm month. It's actually the month with the warmest water temperature. So if you are very sensitive to that, then definitely September is the way to go for you. Also, another important thing is that because September is back to school season, all the kids are, well, back to school and not in Tenerife. So because there's no more vacations generally, there's less people, less kids, less business, less tourists, and it's still very warm. It's almost like a summer without all the tourists, if I can say so. So very nice. I love autumn. Then of course October, November, the water is still very warm and it's way less busy because it's like an odd season to go on vacation. So yeah, very good time to come. Moving on with number 3 on the list, which is spring, aka extended summer. This is number 3 for roughly the same reason that I mentioned before. March and April are pretty cold in Europe, so you can come to Tenerife as like a mini summer before mainland summer begins, like a bonus summer or like a VIP access to the summer, you get the point. So basically you come to Tenerife from the cold, you enjoy the weather here, and then you go back and voila, nice weather on the mainland as well, so it's like you started the summer early. The reason for which I put spring on the 3rd place and not on the 2nd, even though they're very similar, is that in spring the water is the coldest. So March is probably the coldest water. You can still swim without a suit, it's doable, but it's not the best water temperature, so to say. It's pretty cold. That's basically the main difference between spring and autumn. Like in autumn, the weather is similar to the spring, but the water is way, way warmer. Hence, spring is on the 3rd place. I want to emphasize the difference between the months. So for example, between March and May, March is still very cold almost everywhere. Would definitely recommend to come to Tenerife. Whereas May is already a great month. The end of the spring, beginning of the summer. So I wouldn't come to Tenerife in May because you can just visit all other seaside resorts and it's still very nice. The last place of the top is summer, aka mainstream call. So why should you visit Tenerife in summer? I really don't know why. I don't know why you should visit Tenerife in summer. Summer in Northern Hemisphere is actually awesome everywhere, and this is the time that I make my big yearly visits to my friends and family. So I am at a loss for words here as to why you should come to Tenerife when I'm leaving. However, I do have one thing which I would personally only do in the summer, and that is going to the water park. I couldn't go to the water park in any of the other seasons because it's just too cold. So at the water park, you go on the ride and then you get completely soaked. And moving between the rides while being completely soaked for me is just manageable in the summer because it's very, very hot. In any other season, I would be too cold, I couldn't do that. So I would definitely recommend going to the water park. It is awesome. If you look Water Park Tenerife, I'm not gonna say the name, but it's a pretty famous one. And it's definitely expensive and busy and worth it. So I know it is expensive and busy, but it's definitely worth it. And that's the only thing that I would say is just, for me personally, I could only do in the summer. However, I'm gonna make some assumptions. So what happens in the summer is that kids have vacation and a lot of parents with kids are coming to Tenerife as well, which I don't really understand why. I mean, Tenerife in the summer is basically the same as all like seaside resorts at the Mediterranean, I guess. However, it is very busy. It is not as hot as mainland Europe in some cases. The temperature is around, in very special cases, 35 degrees, but normally it's around 30. And it's pretty manageable at the coast because there's a breeze as well. Let me know what you think about my top. I'm curious what other people think and what is the best time for other people to come to Tenerife. And of course, check out some of the other Tenerife videos that I've made. And I'll see you soon.